I
Oh
know.
man, I think the last time we saw each other was like, I don't know, sometime last year, like
Oh, was it
homecoming. No, I didn't
homecoming?
see you homecoming.
Oh
No,
wow!
I
So it
know. I
must have
think it
been the Winston and A&T
A&T
game.
game. Yep, that was it. Dang, we
Yeah,
gotta
that's
fix that.
crazy.
We
Time
gotta
be
fix
timing.
that.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to make it up that way some for some homecomings. What school? Let's see. What HBCUs up that way?
Maybe like a Morgan State,
Okay, I'm definitely in. My
Delaware
cousin is there.
State.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's like. I mean, I don't say closest because that's still pretty far. And I guess of course you got
right.
your Howard. So I think those are the ones that's like
Hey.
maybe trainable for. I don't have my car here, so trainable for the kid.
Oh
Yeah, I ride the
yeah,
train all the time. It's
yeah.
very
Okay,
interesting.
I need to hop on the train. Like literally hop on the train. That would be a
No,
fun
it's
trip to come
good.
up.
It's good to for productivity. Honestly, like
Hmm.
your commute, you're not spent looking at people watching, making sure you don't hit a car. Like you literally can do your Duolingo,
Yeah.
read your books or what have you. So
Hmm.
I enjoy doing the train.
I love that. I love that. So you recently moved. I know for us, HBCU culture is everything. We
Everything.
met because of that. I was adored. I adore scale, and I was like, oh, I got to get my fit. I got to get on that fit check because I be fitting it up. Okay. So finally had the chance to meet. Then I found out we both went to the same school, WSSU.
Right.
So it's like, wow, look how tight the world came together when you really put something in your mind. I'm gonna get on that fit check, and look at
Okay, that's the
us.
universe and God and everything
Right.
just coming together. And yes,
Right.
and
And I
that
think
was
that's
what CIAA last year. And so I
it
didn't even.
sure
And then
was.
the amazing thing was I had no. And the amazing thing about fit checks is I don't know 99% of the people. Is so it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It doesn't matter how popular you were or are on the yard. It's do you have on a good fit or not. So
Okay.
like. I saw you at CIAA. This is my first time like seeing you live, and I was like, "Oh hey, do you want to be in my fit check?" And you're like, "I know fit checks," and that I don't think I'll ever get like used to somebody saying like, "I know your brand." Like I'm like in my mind, I'm like, "Oh yes, oh my god," but I'm
Yes.
outside. You like, "Okay, cool. I'm glad
Okay.
you know."
For real. For real. But that's an amazing brand. Like, this is how all of this started because we want to highlight the importance of what we're doing in these spaces, how we take our HBCU education and spread it across the world at WSSU. We,
Absolutely.
enter to learn and depart to serve.
Depart to
And we
serve.
really take that, on. So I think that it'll be really fun. Going forward, what can the listeners expect from us? What do you think?
Well, honestly, highlighting the culture,
Of course.
which I feel like is just so important because there's just this renewed interest, I think, in HBCUs, right?
Hmm.
And it's so amazing. It's so beautiful. It wasn't even there when I started school. I think that the initial wave of everybody like, let's do black, let's be black, let's do, like, kind of was missed.
Hmm.
And so now just to see how prevalent it is, how in your face it is, and so just to come at it from a different perspective, especially bringing in sports, and then we do
Hmm.
have beautiful people on like ESPN, like Monica McNutt and things like that. But like just to
Right.
come from a HBCU lens and just all
Hmm.
HBCU is just gonna be so exciting. And then
I ag-
highlighting, like you said earlier, women in HBCU and sports and all of that. Like this is just gonna be a whole thing.
I agree because there's so I'm not we of course we're not talking about something we're bringing is also like making sure we tap into the culture. Like of course sports are what we primarily do, but so much around sport happen. So it's not Queens only art for nothing. We pay attention to the tailgating. We pay attention to the outfits. We pay attention to the culture. We want to pay attention to like what's really getting the alumni and the students really up and going. How we can bring culture from inside to outside and even let more folks know. Yeah, recruiting, if nothing else, like, hey,
Recruitment,
this is what you're
I love
missing.
that. I
Hey,
love
this is what
that.
you're
Yeah, this is
missing
what
by
you're
not coming
missing.
here. So, as we encourage the future leaders of America, making sure that they have opportunities to come behind and excited about it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't really think of too many women, other than like my aunts, but they were like professionals, like my aunt. You know what I mean? Like, oh, she's a doctor somewhere. I'm like, oh, okay. Not to
Yeah,
say I didn't
yeah.
see myself in that, but it didn't connect to me until I started going. And then now it's like I want to be something that somebody recognizes as like, oh, if nothing else, okay, that's gonna be my leg in, or Sheena did
Yeah,
it,
she
I can
loves
do it, or
HBCUs. Yeah.
exactly. So I think this is really important. I'm so excited. How did you end up at WSSU?
That is so funny. Like even what you're saying right now just taught me back. It brings me back to school. So like again, when I was in school, you had your teachers, but like you didn't know, where they went to school, like all these things. And now I feel like in schools, like I'll go back and visit because I went to a predominantly black high school, right?
Hmm.
And they have their degrees on the wall, their schools on the wall, like the banners for HBCUs on the wall. I'm like, oh my god, this is just what I wonder what the landscape would have been in high school when I was there. How many more people? Because we really did look up to our teachers because
Hmm.
they look like us, they dress like us, they talk like us. I'm not saying that they were our little friends. Oh, now they
Right.
want to be my little friends on Facebook and stuff
Like, cause
like
you
that. But that's
famous,
another
girl.
story. Don't try to be my little friend now.
Right. I remember that time
Miss
you said on my
Anderson,
paper.
don't try to be my little friend now. But it wasn't, I mean, it just wasn't just this big, it was almost like a hush hush thing. So I knew I
Hmm.
wanted to go to school for exercise science. Right now I am practicing in physical therapy.
Okay.
And I thought, honestly and truthfully, I was going to go to UNC. It's right up the street. I was born in Durham. I wasn't born in Durham, but I lived in Durham, North Carolina, like my whole life. Like I'm
Hmm.
so Bull City, like right after HBCU in Bull City.
Hmm.
And so I was like, yeah, this is the plan. And my dad, who is an HBCU grad, my mother was as well, but she passed away. And I'm sure that'll come up because she was Miss HBCU too. And my principal, who was a graduate of North Carolina Central University, and a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, they sat me down and said, actually, you're going to a HBCU. You're going to go to a
Period.
school and find yourself with people that look like you. And
Right.
the respect I have for my father and my principal. Like I said, we went to a predominantly black school, so it was literally, it wasn't, the transition from high school to college was so easy because it was literally the same thing. Teachers in your business, making sure you on the straight and narrow. Like I said, my principal set me down with my father. Like that explains enough. And so I was just like, okay, cool. So I looked up what school had, what HBCU had an exercise science program. It was the Winston-Salem State University, and then
I know that's right. Nice. That's pretty cool. So my
oh,
HBCU story comes a little later in life for me. So I was in band in high school. And I was in Project Discovery. I was all set to go to another local HBCU here that's kind of known for their band. Um, and I didn't get in. And I was like devastated. I mean, we're talking, great SAT scores. I had no real reason, from my point of view, that I didn't go. And I was mad. I went into the military. My parents were Air Force. My whole family's Air Force. And I had gone all through high school like, I'm going to be the one to go to college. I'm going to college, whatever. I was pissed off. I was like, I'm going to the freaking military. So I did. I left and went go to the Air Force. I was in band in the Air Force, but they offer classes. So I was like, well, I guess I can go to school. So I ended up getting my community college of the Air Force associate's degree in military science. So military science and all the things that come along with the United States military and history and anthropology that come along with it is kind of my specialty. So I go on and I, work almost 20 years for a corporation after I got out of the military. And then now I kind of got to a point where like something's missing. I want to go back to school. And I had kind of sat back and thought, I was like, do I reapply to the school that I told me no 20 years ago? Or let me really sit and think. So I was like, who do I like? Like the scope of the people. I was like, you know what? The people, like the top three, four people that come to mind, all went to WSSU. So I was like, you know what? I like the colors. Let me, try it out. So I took a tour of the campus and I loved it. And I went, like, it was during Christmas time. I brought like a Christmas ornament. It's actually on my graduation cap, but it's a Christmas ornament that had WSSU. And I applied, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a Ram for Christmas. That was my wish, 2019.
Aw.
So I got the letter like 2 weeks after Christmas. I was so happy. Started, and of course, I only had to do 2 years because I already had my associates. So I did my 2 years in interdisciplinary studies, and it started off as just or as religious studies, but COVID happened. So like January, I was in school for 2 weeks before everything shut down. So it was like, okay, all the classes are online. I was already online, but there were only like 2 degree programs available. So now that everything was available online, I was like, can I change my major? So I changed it to justice studies. So I'm a justice studies major. I'm interdisciplinary. So I get a good, civilian and military scope of, resources, infrastructure, and those type of things at the like local city level. So that's kind of my like thing. But it was really the people. And then now, like I get it. Like I didn't get how people made it their personality. Like some people's personality is their school. And I was like, school's cool. Child, you cannot tell me any day of the month I am not a Ram every single day. I cannot tell enough people I'm gonna wear my shirt every day. Like I'm one of those people now, and like I totally get it. So I really, really love, and take pride in our HBCU and all HBCUs. We all have our own place in the amazing network of HBCU and education here, and I'm really proud of myself for that, and I'm really happy to kind of introduce my boys to that, so that like I'm the legacy starter now in my family as my children. Like that's the expectation. That's what they're gonna do. They don't know of any other schools. WSSU is the only college in the
Yeah.
state. Like don't even bother.
No, that's so like sometimes I do regret because both my parents went to Elizabeth City State University, and
Okay.
sometimes I regret like not going to Elizabeth City State because they really wanted me to go, but it was like for me it was just too far, it was too rural, and like they're kind of from that area, so I had been in that area, and I'm like there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do. So,
Yeah.
choosing Winston, but like now that I am older, I'm like, oh man, like I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I get not going to Elizabeth City. Like they're still happy. My dad's still happy that I went to HBCU because we definitely do the HBCU thing like all the time. So that is, but like sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I would have like pledged my
Yeah.
mom's chapter and like all this type of stuff.
Aw.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Right, right. And but then you think like, would I be this person if I didn't go to Winston? And I get it when you say it's your personality. Like I just feel like a lot of who I am is because of Winston Salem State. So
Mm-hmm.
like then it kind of gets scary because like okay, if I went to Elizabeth City, like who would I be? Like I don't know. So
Yeah,
and
that's
I don't know if I want to
crazy.
find that out.
Right. Or even like who would I know? I know for me, I've always been like outspoken and outgoing, but what I think really is really trusting myself and being confident in the knowledge that I was learning and the ability to make it clear to other people. So I think that was really one of the biggest things. I think, like I said, kind of coming later through life, I probably had like oh, I'm gonna just do this thing, check this box off, and I wasn't necessarily prepared for the evolution of Sheena that happened throughout the process.
No,
Even
seriously.
now, like I find myself like I would have never. I mean, I love sports. Don't get me wrong, but I could have never imagined myself sitting around talking about sports with other people,
Yeah.
right? Like I could sit here and talk to myself all day, or entertain someone else
Or
all
just
day. But
watch and know what you're
the
talking about.
confidence,
Yeah.
right? Right, the confidence that it takes. That's definitely something I picked up in Ram Country. So I love it. I love it.
I love the
Mm-mm.
Rams.
Same.
But there are other HBCUs.
There
There
are,
are
and we
other
will
ones.
highlight all of those beautiful talents across the
Absolutely.
season. So we will definitely have the opportunity to focus, and we're gonna pull up. We're gonna have to, pull up places. We're gonna have fun. This is gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, I have to travel. I mean, one place I got to travel to now, I think is Alabama A&M.
Oh, Alabama.
Okay.
So I'm with you. Okay, we're gonna ride the train together, and then we gotta stop by Jackson State. Okay, we gotta stop by
Okay.
Jackson
Okay.
State, and we gotta go to Alabama A&M. Oh, I bet you they dress. I bet you they got some fits down there in Alabama.
Well, let me tell you who got some fits.
Tell me.
Don Thornton.
The
Okay,
coach.
the
Oh,
coach
yes.
of
Yo, her
Alabama.
fits be fitting. Okay.
A&M.
The fits be fitting. Okay. I love it. I love the passion that comes across. Even it's like it sets the expectation. Um, like again, that thing that we bring, that this is my culture. This is we can tell a story, an outfit. So to demand such attention and still, translate that to the players and then the rest of the team at the same time, I think is so powerful.
I mean, I think you said it best. Like that set, your clothes set the intention. And so when people say things like, "Oh, it doesn't matter what you wear," I'm like, "No, it absolutely matters. Like your clothes say who you are before you even open your mouth, and you can really get written off before that." And you mentioned Jackson State University. Well, Coach Thornton graduated from Jackson State
Yes,
University.
I'm telling
She's
you,
a
all the
member of
greats.
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She was also a coach of another HBCU. As the head coach of the Golden Lions, my girl
Hmm.
helped the team beat Arkansas for the first time in the program's history.
Wow, where she was just coaching at? Didn't she coach at
Yeah,
Arkansas for a
yeah.
while?
That's
Okay,
why Alabama A&M
snatched her up.
snatched it up,
I know
snatched it
that's
up in
right.
them outfits.
I know that's right. And they snatched up hubby too, because hubby is a defensive line coach, I believe.
Her husband is the defensive line coach at
Yeah, I know that's right. Snatched
Alabama
them all
A&M.
up.
Isn't that so cute? It's like
Yes.
almost giving cheerleader, football, what
Right.
star football player vibes. Like I think it's
Right.
so
Yeah, it's like
cute.
prom queen, prom king, everything.
Okay.
I love it. I love
Isn't
it.
that so cute? And I mean, like we were talking about with your children, and now hopefully my future children. Like you got to go to Winston. Like how can their kids not go to Alabama A&M? Like that is so cute. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So yeah, and then I'm not gonna let my kids. Well, I have to figure out a clever way to like, so they won't say to me, "Well, you didn't go to the same school as your parents."
Oh, to make them. I
To
got the
make
upper
them
hand
be
on mine. They
real.
daddy ain't go nowhere. They grandma's like, no, this is the only representation. And then please believe they got just as much WSSU stuff as I do. And then Jackson, my youngest, he addicted. He wants to come to every
Oh.
game. He got spoiled because I'm in the press box, so he got to sit in the press box,
Oh
and
yeah, he's
now
cool.
he don't know nothing else. Like, okay, we going to the game, and
Like
then
when he go to like when he actually goes to school, he gonna be like, wait a minute, what? I'm sitting with these with the
right,
regular
why am I
folks.
outside?
The weather, I can feel the weather.
Oh my gosh. I wonder how I bet you that poor kid probably be everywhere. The Thornton to Mr. Thornton. Camden, I think his name is. I
I
think
know,
that is so
Camden.
cool.
Yeah, that is so
Yeah.
cool. That's so special. Like and I think that's so beautiful that you like. First of all, did you go to the Air Force at 5? Like, how are you? Like, what do you mean? Like, you had 20 years before you went to school. You look like we graduated like a year.
Yeah, I'm 40. I'll be 42 this year. My homeboy hates when I say
Girl.
that. He'd be like, well, of course you're going to be the next year older, but I'll be 42.
Oh, well,
I
that's
did
amazing.
graduate high school a year early, so that's my little claim to fame. And my parents signed
Yeah.
me over my legal rights over to the Air Force. So the Air Force was my parent until I turned 18.
Oh, that is
Yep.
interesting. That is interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't
In
know that's
order
a
for me to
thing.
enlist under the age of 17, I had to, because I did delay enlistment. So I enlisted, and then, I had to wait a few months until I was like 17 and 6 months. But through that process, I was proud of the U.S. military.
Wow.
It's
Well,
very
look at things
interesting.
you find out. That's so amazing. That is really cool.
All right, so Dawn is our queen of the week. Congratulations to you, Dawn. We are
Meow, meow,
so
meow,
excited.
meow. I want to make the sound. Meow,
I gotta
meow,
do
meow,
like an
meow.
inspo fit, so I gotta pull up some of her fits and like find what
Oh,
I'm inspired by,
yes.
and then that's gonna
Yes.
be
I
my
love
content
that.
for this week.
I
That's
love
what I'm gonna
that.
do. I think that's what I'm gonna do every week. It's
Oh,
like
I
my
love that.
queen of the week inspiration fit. I think that would be fun. I think that'd
That would
be
be
fun,
so fun.
and I
That would
encourage
be
See the
all
amazing.
of us
king.
to do it too. Like the viewers, everybody
Lord have mercy.
inspired by. Sometimes that helps me dress. Like find somebody you inspire. Like I'm gonna just copy her fit. Don't worry about it. Because I have copied a couple of yours. Don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be able to know because like you also make it your own, which I feel like it's just so amazing. Again, the wonderful thing about clothes. It's like, yeah, I don't think there's anything new under the sun, but that's okay because all you got to do is just add a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then pow, you got your own outfit.
Yes.
And like I think even Dawn has like some stylists now. Like, how amazing is it to where, especially women's sports, like it was just this narrow box, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you can even think about back in like Love and Basketball, like the movie, and it's like, well, don't do this and don't show emotion and don't blah 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 blah. And like we have just expanded to even like the unraveled basketball league, the introduction of all the fashion and things like that. So I just love how intentional women's sports is becoming, and so like to where now we're highlighting amazing coaches like Dawn, and
Mm-hmm.
not only that, but like she doesn't have to fit into this narrow space where like well you're not a good coach because you're dressing like how much sense does that make?
Right,
So
because
she
my
can bring
girl is a
style,
winner. Okay. And
and
I
my
think
girl
that's
wearing
even cool
heels,
too. I'm right. Oh my gosh.
heels on the court,
Not and then be standing up for hours, child. I be
standing up
tired.
for
My feet be hurting
hours.
sitting down. Oh my God, the calendar. It is, I don't know, sometime in the beginning of February. And I have been trying to wrap my mind around CIAA. CIAA is buzzing, and I'm so, so ready for CIAA. I can't wait to see you at CIAA. We
I
have to have
can't
a
believe the time either. Like, wasn't it just homecoming? And
no,
now we're here at CIAA. That is so insane. But like mega homecoming where everybody comes together and you see people from every school. So that's always exciting.
I can't wait. Well, I learned so much about other schools when I got up there. I'm just like a little WSSU brat. So being exposed to some of the other schools in the CIAA, I was like, I get it. Like I love the cousins. I love
The cousins.
my
Yeah, that's
uncle
cute.
at Bowie State. This my cousin over here at Claflin. Like I not yeah, yeah, yeah. I really enjoy CIAA, and it's just it impacts so many generations. It goes and there are kids there. There are older folks. You get to meet some of the centurions of the CIAA that have just really made their mark and made their impact over the course of time. So I know that some things that we kind of look forward to is our fashion, and we really have some greats coming into it. Some, folks that really led the way. We have ourselves, and then we also have Mr. CIAA. Mr. CIAA was something or someone that I learned about recently. Kind of unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to get to meet him before he went to the big HBCU in the sky, but I really,
Oh,
really
I love that.
I
I
didn't
love that.
to meet him. So I know that's something I'm kind of waiting to even experience with my HBCU family when I get to CIAA. Tell me about, I know you've been to CIAA quite a few times. Have you ever get a chance to meet Mr. CIAA? Let me
I
tell it.
never got a chance to meet Mr. CIAA. That, yeah, that's just one of the things where you like, oh my God. You just think you have so much time, you know? And so it's sad. And I just think that's just like a reminder to one, like give people their flowers while they're here. And not that he didn't. Like people love Mr. CIAA, but like, sometimes you're like, well, maybe I haven't made it. Maybe I'm not, at that point where I can just approach somebody that's just so iconic and just so, revered and well loved. But, just to see all the tributes and I mean, from like, not even just from like fashion people, but from cheerleaders and coaches. And I'm just like, that is so beautiful and that's so amazing to just touch so many people's lives. And even though we never like, physically spoke or physically met each other, um, touched my life, you know what I'm saying? And so, and I hope to just leave a legacy like that, like where just people are just like, it's this collective mourning. Like that is so amazing. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, Mrs. CIAA, we continue your legacy for sure.
Agreed. Agreed. He was Mr. Abraham Mitchell. He passed at 95, known as Ham. We know him as Mr. CIAA, but some really interesting things that I learned about him again in his passing was he went to Elizabeth State or Elizabeth City State. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
City State, yes, and he was a mortician, and that really, to me, is really what kind of clues into the outfits. Like I don't know how many
Yeah.
funeral directors or morticians, or like I don't know one that's not super fly. So I just love like that was one of my favorite things. Like because I'm into death and all the things, so it was really interesting. Outside of us just being in the CIAA, but seeing someone so prominent in death work, I really love that. Especially as
Mm.
for us as a community, like you said, collective mourning, even for us mourning our others, just that's something that we, should have the ability to do. And someone that works in death so much, you wouldn't even know, with the light that he showed,
Oh,
every picture,
absolutely not.
every
Yeah.
experience I saw of him was incredible. You would have never known this man works with dead people all day. So,
Yeah.
you, Mr. CIAA.
Yeah, rest in peace. I mean, that would definitely be somebody that I would want, after someone that I love passed away, like somebody kind of like handling
Mhm.
all the details because like you say, he was just such a light. So I'm sure in that space, that's when he really got a chance to shine. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, because imagine, how amazing you are when you're kind of carefree. Like he wasn't at work doing that. He was just himself being Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. Okay, speaking of fashion, Mr. CIAA set the tone. Okay, he set the tone.
And I
And
want people to follow suit.
I know.
I see videos and pictures and stuff from like CIAA in the 90s and black folks was pulling up in fur.
Okay.
Um they were pulling up in suits too and dress and like just full regalia and I'm just like can we get back and I'm not saying we have to do it exactly like that but can we just get back to CIAA just being the thing, right? Just
Yeah.
the same way that we do homecoming, can we get back to CIAA being just this the fashion mecca? I mean, because like you got, when every school has a style. And that's what I've
Right.
learned through the fit checks. Like every school has a thing. So it's like when you see somebody, I'm like, oh yeah, you go to Central. Oh yeah, you go to Winston State. You know what I'm saying? But like
It's something,
CIAA was, you say it
you
again?
know what I mean? Somebody is like, oh, you look like you're from Virginia. Like it's like an accent that you
It's
wear.
an accent. It's an accent.
Oh,
Literally, literally, literally. But then when you got CIAA, you just bring all of those dialects together. And so, like, I really want us to get back to that. Like, I get, the comfy look, especially because it's colder outside during CIAA time, but still, like, I just want us to get back to that. Okay.
we're gonna have to do we're gonna come up with something. Y'all just wait. We're gonna come up with something. I would
Yeah.
love to.
Yeah.
I mean, we love us a party, and maybe it's not a party, it's a fundraiser or some type of event that showcases like the 90s in the CIAA or 80s in the CIAA. We love a sneaker ball, but let's like step it back up. Go pull out your mom's, graduation jacket or what I'm saying, some apparel they had back then. What I'm saying, your dad's, jersey or, that kind of stuff.
I
Just
love vintage.
that style.
I
Like
love vintage wear.
oh man, that would be so cool.
Yeah, like I wear my mom's sorority stuff, and I'm just like, yo, this is fly. Like I always get compliments when I wear her things, and I'm like, I don't even want to wear my own stuff anymore. I just want to wear her stuff.
That is so cool. That's something I don't have experience in. Like, well, we already talked to my parents. They didn't have the, HBCU or college experience at all. So that got to be really cool in itself.
Yeah. I
Really
mean,
cool.
speaking of like, my parents were just so CIAA. Like they were so HBCU. Like they CIAA used to be in Raleigh.
Mhm.
And like they used to take us out of school to go see Elizabeth City State play basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I want to give my kids like that experience. And they were a part of the alumni chapter. So like they would do the like the food and the hosting of the teams and like and other alumni. So it was just such like a thing. And like as a kid, you're just happy to be out of school. But like now, just like looking back on it, I'm like, oh, that was like super dope. Like I got to be just like them or something. So, and my dad played football for Elizabeth City State, so I
Oh
think that's
wow.
also
We
yeah,
gonna have to get him in here. We call the game
Yeah. Oh, he would love
God,
that. He would
something
love
like
that. He would cry. My dad is so like now that he's older, he's so just in tune with his emotions. So he just like lets it go. And there is a kid now that's on Elizabeth City's football team, and he is I think he's the running back. And my dad played running back, and
that.
his last name is Creasy, which is our
Oh,
last name. And so
okay.
like we're trying to figure out like are we related because um, we spell it Creecy. A lot of people spell it Cr like Easy or something crazy like that, and
Greasy
he
like
spells it
greasy.
the same way.
Oh, could you ever imagine having to tell somebody that it's greasy like greasy?
Yeah, we say I say like Creasy, like man on fire. They used to call him
Uh-huh.
Creasy
Uh-huh.
there. Like that's what I say. Like yeah, so I feel like it's just so cool, and like my dad, like even now, it's just so connected to Elizabeth City State. Like you can, whenever we go, like now, me and my dad go to games and things like that, especially Winston versus Elizabeth City. That's the best. Because we've been beating Elizabeth City up and down the basketball court, football field, everything.
So we're gonna focus on it. Like we definitely love, the older spirit and the older things that we have. How do we bridge that gap? Like speaking of fashion and things, this fashion week coming up, how are some ways we can bring the new things that are, current 2025 fashion and bring them to even CIAA and honor like some of the more vintage styles? Are you thinking of anything? Are you thinking of any buzz? What should I wear for CIAA? Like,
What should I wear? I
yeah.
don't know. I just think even so the crazy thing is what's vintage to us might not be vintage to Gen Z. And that might also be just because we like, no, don't say what I wore was vintage. Like, and I say that like the Y2K trend. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't say what I used to actually wear for like fashion is vintage. So like, but that is vintage to them and
My
they
graduation picture,
love it. You said what?
my graduation picture looks like that.
I'm like, you're not about to say what I was actually wearing like not too long ago is vintage. Like, you're not gonna say that. You're not gonna do that to me. But I feel like, and then, I mean, but to also to see, the Y2K trend or whatever, and bring in nostalgia for us. Like, oh my God, I used to wear baby fat. Oh my God, like I used to, you know what I'm saying? And so like, oh, that's how we used to wear our hair. Like that's another
Right,
big
my mom
thing.
has a
The
baby
way that
fat
they're
tattoo.
doing their hair is like the 90s. You said what?
My mom has a baby fat tattoo.
Please, I want to see this. I have to see that.
It's like on her leg too, like Betty.
Oh,
I got, and I'm like, ma'am, please. Like she was
90s fun.
that ain't even. She was fine. I'm gonna tell my mama was. I mean, she was my mom.
90s fun.
She didn't
She
promote
had
me.
that bit and have a baby. Yeah, it's just kind of like that was her stamp. Like, duh.
Oh, it was the gym. So okay, okay, okay. That's true.
Hmm.
Like vintage to me would be like fringe flapper the 50s.
Exactly. So, but think about the conversation pieces though now, whereas like you see somebody in Gen Z in baby fat or whatever, or rocking the Bantu knots, and you're like, yo, I used to, that's the conversation piece. So us, if we are doing like a flapper or like a sue or a fur, I think I'm really gonna bring out the fur.
Yeah,
Then like that's the conversation piece
that's
for
right.
that
I'm getting it. I'm bringing mine out. I'm unzipping
yeah.
it. Bag.
That's beautiful. Somebody even said to me the other day, she was like, I just had furs back when in the 80s and things like that. I mean, do you think I can wear them? I'm like,
Girl, who gonna
no,
pay
you
for
can't wear them. You just give them to me. Just give them to me.
it?
I'll dispose of them for you. You can't wear that. You have to pass it on now. So, like I said, I said that to say, like, I think doing vintage for everybody is a good way to bring everybody together. Because I'm gonna ask you where you got it from, and I'm gonna reminisce, and then somebody's gonna do that for me. And so, all the generations are coming together in this one place. And it's like, just if you have any memories from being at a CIAA, but then also that just brings in another piece of like, oh, I remember when I used to wear this. I remember when I used to wear that. I got a fur that's just like, you know what I'm saying? So I think, bringing back styles is probably like the biggest bridge, between the generations, fashion wise.
Indeed. I can't wait to see the mixture of the old and the new and all of the things that come into it. I'm really excited for CIAA. I can't even think straight. I
Yeah.
look into like, it's not today. Not today.
Like when like a whole countdown. Like when is the
Yeah, you know
NAAA?
how to, they got that video on my birthday tomorrow. My
See,
birthday.
I never like, oh, that's cute. We should do that. We should really make that video. See, I never like, see, I never. That'd
Yeah,
be
like,
a cute video.
I'll sit down and do it. We gotta write that down, girl. We gotta
Yeah,
write that.
yeah, that'd be cute. That'd be really cute. Yeah, let's get that.
Waves in the HBCU fest, and we have people that preceded us long ago, people that were the first, everything that they did. So we wanted to take some time to highlight. I know we've already done our Queen of the Week, but I wanted to take some time to highlight C. Vivian Stringer. C. Vivian Stringer is a legendary American women basketball coach known for a significant impact in the sport. She was born back in the 40s, so could imagine the things and the things she had to endure. That was back before segregation. That was back before some of the rights that we had as African Americans. And that's, I mean, we're talking some HBCUs are, pretty much still groundbreaking at this point. This is, not too long. I know for us, we're like 1892, you got, A&T 91. So, from the late 1800s all the way to, even now, because we're still experiencing the first in women's everything or first in Black this. So Miss Stringer, some of her key achievements was she was one of the first people inducted into first Black women inducted into Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame back in 2009. So that was incredible. And she is a graduate of Cheney State. So if we go back, I think if I'm not mistaken, Cheney State is the oldest HBCU, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah, I think they go back. They go back and forth between Lincoln and Cheney. Like, which one was
yeah,
first? Yeah.
we'll fight that out at CIAA, I guess. As she was recently honored by the WNBA for her achievements and some of the things, like even back to the 70s, being able to lead the NCAA's first ever women's basketball team championship back in 1982. That was even before I was born. So look at her, we're sitting here talking about her legacy, went on, make a Final Four appearance, and then some amazing things done at Rutgers. So Stevie Stringer, I learned a lot about her, and when the WNBA posted, I really try to stay close because there
Mm.
are so many greats that I think fly under the radar. That sometimes as women we just kind of do the thing that we're doing, and we do make a point to make our place in the world, but we don't necessarily get the accolades, or we don't really know who does what. And I think that is really important for our show because that is something that is important to us. That's why we're here, is to make sure that we aren't 40 and 50 years old learning about some of these amazing women in sports, Black women, HBCU women in sports. Tell me something you learned about Miss Stringer.
I mean, yeah, just the Cheney University, first of all, like just how historic that is. Like I know we go back and forth, but like just to be in the conversation about the first HBCU is just insane. And so, I mean, I agree with you. Like, whenever it's a woman or whenever it's a Black person that just makes these waves, it's just so quiet, you know? And so I think just being more intentional about sharing our stories with each other, that's the one thing that I absolutely do love about HBCUs, right? Um or excuse me, about social media, is that like we get to learn all of these unsung heroes. Like that is amazing. That is amazing. And then, it wasn't a fluke because you did it at a few schools. You did it at Rutgers. You did it at Cheney. You
Absolutely.
know what I'm saying? And so it's just like that is so amazing. And I think, especially as young women, just to put these people in the forefront and let, even young girls know, well, look at this. Well, look who did this. Even, like Our Ladies in Hidden Figures and things like that. Like I just think we, need to continue doing a better job of highlighting Black women and all their like amazing achievements. And speaking of, even though Black History is every month, every day of the year, but for somebody like Morgan Price,
Mhm.
at Fisk University to become the first gymnast from an HBCU to score a perfect 10. And this is Black history being made right now. right?
Right.
And
Come on.
so and so yeah, so we get to honor the past and we get to honor the future and what is going on. And I'm just so excited. And so, like you said, the fact that we have this platform and we get to highlight black women in HBCUs and from the past and from the future and from the now, like, I'm so excited. So yeah, so
Give me the Twitter. Sorry.
yeah, no, for real. So yeah, we got two, I think that like yeah, just had to have been highlighted. We have to say these things. So I'm excited for this platform to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And if you got to think about the talent pool that they were coming from back in Stringer's day, like there wasn't the talent pool that they had. They were playing up against the leaders, at that time. So it wasn't like, not to say that it wasn't like just conference play. We're playing at the top of the food chain right now and we're doing big things. And to, like I said, not know about that, even so much later in life, we can't have that again. And then if we got to think of like gymnastics at HBCUs is something new. That is something
Right.
to jump right in, make history. I'm going to say HBCU Gameday did that story initially for Morgan, like maybe 1-2 years ago. So it's like, wow, we're just learning and then looking at the lightning speed of how fast even information is disseminated across. I think maybe some of that is the barrier too. Like nobody made a report about, CFIP being triggered. Like, they didn't talk about it, but now news happens so fast. No, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to keep it in your face. So I'm really excited to continue Morgan Price's story because it's like, wow, this is the first. Like you can, count on one hand. Well, not anymore because Simone and Jordan and all, all
Okay.
at a big level. But there was one time where it was like just Dominique Dawes.
Dawn.
All the weight of the world was on her back, as Black representation. And now we have gone on to continue to now have gymnastics programs at HBCUs. So especially even at a time where and that's risky in itself because of course football and basketball are typically where the money is.
Right.
So to do such a big investment on, such a, not to say a smaller sport, but a smaller sport, I think is incredible. So even shout out to Fisk as well. But hopefully, we're going to keep digging and we're going to find these perfect tens, and
Absolutely.
all the way, girl. So we're going to keep finding these perfect tens in these programs and these folks. And we want to tell those stories because we don't want to have to wait until Black History Month to celebrate you or 40 years later to know about, your
I
amazing
know.
all the time.
I know. I totally agree. I totally agree. Um, so you were at CIAA last year. Do you want to tell us about, your experience, what happened, what went on? Like, give us the tea.
Okay. I went to CIAA. So one thing that had kept me from it before, well, first there was COVID. So I didn't really get into the HBCU space. And a little background, like she don't really do big crowds like that. I got PTSD. I was in the military. So giant crowds really, 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 really stress me out. So big parties and things like that, they're not something I ever want to do. I never want to go to a day party. I never want to go, like, that's not Sheena's jam. So when it was here in Charlotte, it wasn't something that was appealing to me personally. And then it was like all the people that were here, like, oh, I'm going to Charlotte, go party. Like, okay, well, I was just partying here with y'all last week. Y'all just go somewhere and party. I'm good. Like, y'all will be back next week. You know what I mean? And then not even understanding the pride of what it's like to be at a HBCU. So last year I said, okay, I'm gonna go up. I got a few friends. Scale gonna be there doing fit checks. So I know it's gonna be one person I know there. Okay.
Right.
Like legit one person I know gonna be there. So I jumped in the car that Friday, drove up Friday morning, got a hotel. And it was funny when I was booking the hotel, like the reviews were terrible. And I was like, but it's so cute. I don't know. And it's right there. I get to the hotel and I mean, it's downtown Baltimore. So just because of my own background, I ain't really that scared. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm good. But it was just, understanding now I'm in Baltimore. on, coming off of an interdisciplinary studies degree, and I've studied, how poverty exists and how class impacts different places geographically. And now I'm in Baltimore visualizing some of the disparities that I just taught myself or just learned at WSSU, some of the things that we researched and some of the things that my degree is based on, to now be almost in the epicenter of that for Black people. I'm being able to learn the history of Baltimore. Baltimore is incredible, and one of the OG places, one of the places you're going to find the most of us. You know what I'm saying? Baltimore is ours. So there's so much history right there, being in Virginia, Maryland, if you kind of dig into the crates a little bit about the history there. So I was really more honored to kind of understand that part, and that was my connection. And then I was alone, so I did a bunch of walking. And it ended up being really special because I stopped at the museum that Virginia State was at. So my aunt had passed away 2015. She went to Virginia State. And I walked in and the band was playing. She was a majorette. And the band was playing and it just like punched me. And I had to go around the corner. I'm about to cry right now. Like I had to just go around the corner and cry because it was almost like I was like portaled back to her. I have her baton. It's like literally right here. Like this is the baton she had at Virginia State. It's a majorette. So it was like it filled in a lot of holes that I knew existed, just didn't know how. Like now it's a part of my family. This is a part of my history. So it became personal to me in those moments. So then get into the game. Now I love the game. You put me inside of an arena, it's a completely different story.
Right.
Love watching sports. And then putting on my fit and getting to see other people's fit. I got cussed out by a Bowie State fan about Stephen A. Smith for a smooth 3 minutes. I was like, sir, I don't even know that man, but okay. Like he was hot about it. But the more people I got to interact with, the more it felt like family. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to leave come Sunday. I was like, I don't want to go. Ain't nothing else to do. I got to go see some more people. Yeah. So I rained quite a bit. So I think that kind of put a damper on it, but not so much for me. I had fun at Fan Fest. I got to see my boy B-Dot. He was doing Fan Fest. So there was just like a connection to be like, ooh. I got to vend at the vending. So I will say it definitely got me more interested in participating on some of the planning. I know a lot of the Baltimore, Charlotte conversations. Oh, the parties. Like there are other places we can do. And I think some of those places are like in the vendor setup. Like some of the vendors, I would love to see some of the heavier hitting vendors. I know that, who's the brand? We love them. They had the big setup right there in the bottom of the arena. Oh my gosh. They make the CIAA jackets. Collegiate Lux. Collegiate Lux.
Absolutely love Collegiate Lux.
I do too. So I would love to bring in, but as we go to homecomings and different, events around the campuses, like there are some really incredible vendors out there, some apparel companies. So I would love to see some more of those travel to CIAA. Like we have our teams and we have our grades, amongst us. but I would love to see some of that happen. And then how do we blend that with the local, business owners there, and how does CIAA impact them locally on a year-round basis? Outside of just doing things, for CIAA, and then making sure they're prepared to handle the influx of people and those type of things. So I definitely had a great time. Like I said, I came back and watched The Wire. Like I had never seen The Wire before. And I wanted more of Baltimore. And Steve was like, watch The Wire. You never seen The Wire? I was like, no, I was in Afghanistan. I didn't watch The Wire.
Yeah. That's crazy. I was in The Wire.
Jumped into it, and then season two was like the perfect segue coming back from Baltimore. I was like, I could have skipped season one, whatever, and I still could care less about season one. But see that season two on them docks, baby, where you get into the government and all of those things. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. So I'm definitely looking forward to CIAA. All right, before we hit CIAA, we gotta follow us. We gotta go make sure. We gotta go make sure. So y'all know
Please.
where we're gonna be so we can get y'all ready for those fit checks. Me and Skell got fits coming. Okay, we got info coming. We gotta make sure we
Absolutely.
CIAA. So y'all gotta tap in. You can find each of us. We'll put our information. I'm sending to and Sailors get what's say you know I can't say a whole bunch of words. I can't alliterate. What is it?
Sit with Skell, SITWITHSKELL on
Absolutely.
Instagram.
And where else can we find you at? It's one more.
So I will shout this to the mountaintops. Every Black person needs to be on Fanbase. It is a Black-owned social media site, and one, it's a Black-owned social media site. Like that is insane. Like literally the first. No, well, not the first. Not the first. I think we had Black Planet, but it's prevalent and it's going on right now, and we all need to support. Like everything that we do, we make hot. Everything that we do is the trend. If a Black person does it, that is when it becomes a trend. And so it should be trendy to be on our sites doing our thing, and everybody will follow because that's where the dances will be. That's where the styles will be. That's where the info will be. So everybody that is Black should be on Fanbase.
All right, let's
do Black History Month.
I know that's right. I know that's right. And they have an investment option. You become an investor, so you can like
you can own a piece of a social media site. So just like and this is before going public, because you can definitely invest in X now. You can definitely invest in Instagram now, but the people and Uber now, but the people that really made the money were the people that got to invest before it went public.
Before they're publicly traded. 100%. You can find us on Twitter. We created a Twitter so you can yap it up with us any time of the day at Queens OT Yard Pod. Twitter got, X, we're gonna call it X by X. Okay. It got his mama named it Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter.
His mama named him Twitter. I'm gonna call him Twitter.
That's our Twitter at Queens OT Pod. Oh Jesus, Queens OT Yard Pod. And you follow us, we're gonna follow back. Make sure to stay tuned. Keep up with us. Send us your friends, send us your ideas and your feedback. Don't be too harsh because I cursed, okay? All right, Sal, I see you. We'll talk next week about New York Fashion Week.
Absolutely.
I can't here because I gotta get my fits ready.
Yes. I cannot wait to talk about New York Fashion Week. So we definitely got to make sure we get into that next week.
Absolutely. Go be beautiful.
Bye. Have fun. And we gotta talk about CI. It's coming up. We gotta make sure we got that together. So, but I love you. Oh, and I meant these meaning to say this the whole time. That red on your lips is so popping.
Yeah, you know what? All right, but I saw your face change. Your face physically changed when I put it on. I was like, "Oh, I'm good to go. I'm good."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh,
boo, Savage." I need to come next year because I want to be an influencer for Savage Fenty. Oh. I love Savage Fenty. I like Savage Fenty. Fenty Beauty is cool. This is my jam, and some of the highlights. But yeah. I've had this for years. I can't come up off of it.
Yeah. You never should get rid of that.
Yeah,
you need to buy some backups.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. And then sometimes I'll put like a purple liner under it, and it gives it like that blue kind of color. It's really pretty. I'm gonna show it to you at CIAA.
Period. Oh. Okay. All
right, girlie. Talk to you later.
Thank you so much. Have fun at church.
Bye. I'm going to pray for y'all in this podcast.
Please pray for me, just period.